Welcome, everyone. This is the Awful Takes podcast with a special review going on right now. So it's not going to fall in our normal episode format. We saw something yesterday that we all enjoyed, and we thought, all right, let's talk about it. My name is Nabahi. I'm one of the hosts.
Hello, I'm Wallied from Sergata Productions. I'm the other host.
And we are joined yet again by Mr. Jonah MC McDonald.
I'm back, baby. We're here.
And he recommended this. We bought tickets how long ago? A month ago?
It's been about a month, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of just been waiting for it to finally happen, and then we finally saw it, so yeah.
So Jonah is actually, for me, kind of like my translator into anime. He will tell me what to watch. He'll recommend things. And I usually feel like me and him have like the same opinion on stuff. So when he recommends something, I make sure to kind of make time to watch it or to go see it, buy tickets, things like that. So when he told me that this anime was going to be coming out here and that we needed to go see it, I was like, all right, let's make it happen. So Jonah, I guess, what are we going to be talking about today?
Yeah, we're talking about an anime called Dandadan. It was made by Yukinobu Tatsu. Just a little short story about him. He kind of found his way into manga creation through Tatsuki Fujimoto, the creator of Chainsaw Man.
Ooh.
He was an assistant editor for his first fully published manga, Fire Punch, and then he kind of helped with Chainsaw Man for about a year, and then he kind of stepped back. And then in 2021, he made Dandadan. So yeah, Dandadan is a very occult-like story, but there's a lot more to that. You follow characters, and a lot of things get thrown at you. They end up like questioning each other, saying that UAPs aren't real, and then the supernatural isn't real. So they both get sent to locations to prove the other wrong. And then a lot of stuff just hits the fan. Like someone runs into a turbo granny, and then the other one runs into these aliens called the Serpos. And then just everything kind of goes crazy and just out the window, but it still feels very structured, which is just really, I think, my type of thing. Like, some of my favorite animes in general, like Chainsaw Man, Night is Short, Walk On Girl by Science Saru. They're just like kind of all follow that format, even Fully Cooley. They're just like, they're chaotic, but they're structured. And it's just like it's almost like short form content in a movie. Like, it's just like so much stuff just happens, and it just like keeps going and keeps going. And I'm curious how you guys kind of felt about that pacing.
Yeah, Walid, why don't you go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, I really loved the fast pace of the show. I think it worked like overall for like the tone of the first 3 episodes for me. I loved how, just because of how insane and just like absurd the whole story was, I loved that whole fast pace of it. And it never felt like it was rushed or anything. It felt like you still had those times where it did slow down, where you did get to like know the 2 main characters more. So I would say for me, I enjoyed just overall like the fast pace, especially in like during those action sequences and everything. I thought they were super well done.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the fast-paced nature of it. Sometimes I watch animes and, it can kind of take a little bit to get going or kind of grab your interest. But with this anime, like from the first episode, it didn't really have like a hook that is I see in normal, like, kind of popular animes where the character will go through like this emotional change, like from the first episode. They do go through like a change, but I felt like it wasn't as picking at your heartstrings as some other animes I've seen. So I really appreciated watching that first episode and seeing that there is a hook, but they didn't use anything that I would kind of classify at this moment as kind of like cliche and overdone. That was the main takeaway I had while watching that first episode. And it just got moving right away. Right away, I was already kind of sucked into it. I guess I'll kind of say, first of all, I am a little biased. Growing up, I would go to the library and check out books about aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, things like that. So right away when I was watching it and this kid's talking about like UAPs and UFOs, I just thought it was so funny. I was like, that kind of is how it is. Like anytime you're like a fanatic about aliens and things like that, you care so much about the specificity of things. you care how those things are interpreted. And it's funny because those different communities do kind of like, it's weird. Like they're so extreme in what they like and enjoy, but it's like they harp on other people for things that, like how it was like, oh, I think UFOs are real. I think ghosts are real. I think the other one's stupid. And it's like, that does happen in those communities where it's like, oh, Bigfoot's 100% real, but the chupacabras and the Loch Ness, that's a bunch of kid stuff. That's all made up. So I really like that. I thought it was really funny. But yeah, the pacing overall was just really working for me. Yeah.
I thought the UFO thing too also was really awesome too, as like a nice little foreshadowing thing that would come into play like later on in that episode where they do actually like get abducted by aliens and everything. It just added more to the absurdity of like the episode and just of like the romance that would blossom and see almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I really loved that a lot also.
So Jonah, I guess, is someone who has kind of read the manga and has been keeping up with the release and everything. What did you think on how it was translated? Did it kind of live up to any expectations you had?
Yeah. I was absolutely blown away with what Science Star did with this actual story. I think like they just nailed it, like almost 1-to-1. Like if you look through even like the first volume and then just watch the first episode, like the shots are exactly the same. Like the first at the very beginning when Momo kicks her boyfriend, that shot is literally like 1-to-1 from the manga. Like it is just is like almost just replicated completely. And just like not even that, they like add on to it. Like I don't know if you guys noticed, but a lot of the supernatural and otherworldly creatures, all of them have a specific color designated to them. Okay. So Turbo Granny, the person that curses Okarun, is completely red. So anytime she's on screen or she's involved, the color red just flies into the screen. Or even like the Serpos that take Momo, it's blue. Like all the shots are completely blue. And then later on when they go to that house, everything changes to black and white. So it's really cool. They kind of mentioned that they're picking a color for each alien or occult-like thing that they run into and just kind of use that to bring an artistic trait to each one of them. So it's super cool. I just thought it was super fascinating, just especially because like you have shots, especially like in the scene with Turbo Granny in the tunnel, where it's just like the whole tunnel just completely just like gets painted red. And it's just like, it just brings so much almost atmosphere to each one, which I thought was amazing. So I think when I saw that Science Saru was picking up Dandadan, I was like, this is going to be perfect. This is going to be amazing. It's right up their alley. Like I said, like the chaotic but structured style is like what Science Saru is known for doing. Like Night of Short Walk On Girl is like that. Devilman Crybaby is like that. They're just like kind of known for that style. So just like seeing that they were going to be the ones making this work was just, I just knew it was going to work. I just knew it was going to be amazing. And I was just not even that. I was just blown away. Like it exceeded my expectations. Like there's just so much style and just passion put into the project, especially like before the movie started or the show. They had interviews with everyone. You could just tell everyone was so caring about the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did production on this kind of start? Was there, because obviously if it came out in 2021, I'm kind of surprised how fast. I guess I feel like it would have taken longer or something.
Yeah, so it seems like it happened pretty fast. I mean, the creator has been pumping out chapters pretty quickly, and production is usually 2 years for an anime. So this one, if I had to guess, was honestly probably a little bit more, maybe like 2.5. So probably like maybe like 6 months after the manga debuted is when they probably picked it up and started doing it. If that's probably my guess.
Wow. I was shocked by the product with how much I love the music, how much I love the art style. It didn't really feel like a traditional anime, I guess I'll say. I felt like it really kind of had its own style in the way the characters were designed and everything. And especially the way they like talked and interacted. I was like, that's so interesting to like have these characters. And it's a first episode, yet you feel like you've been watching them for like longer. I don't know if that was just me and they really nestled in kind of fast, and I was kind of surprised how attached I was in, you know, the first 3 episodes. I was like, this is very different than some other animes I've seen.
For me, I would definitely say like there was one interesting thing that I don't know if it was like the creator of the show, he brought up about the characters like mood swings and everything, and I noticed that played like such a massive role in the characters, because you would see like they'd go from like one emotion where there's kind of like a sad scene, and then like the next scene they're just like yelling and like blurting out things in your face, and I just thought that was like such an awesome like way to like just show like that it's like almost like an emotional roller coaster, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought that was like really awesome, and it works perfectly too, since the 2 characters are like in, was it like high school or middle school?
They're in high school.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that works perfectly too, especially because, you know, they are still developing. They are still like learning the world that they're in almost, you know.
Yeah, I feel like the contrast between the characters is amazing too. It just really adds to their dynamic. Like Momo's a very just kind of impulsive character. If she feels like something's right, she'll just not even question it and immediately do it. And you immediately pick up on this. She sees that Okarun is being picked on by other people, and her first response is just, you know what, I'm just going to stop these people because that's what I want to do. She doesn't like hesitate at all. It literally goes from the shot of her outside of the classroom to her sitting right next to him. Like not even any in between for that. And then Okarun is more of a hesitant, kind of more of a reserved kind of character. He's not outgoing, and they kind of play off of that with each other, and it's just, they're very contrasting. And I just think the dialogue and just anything around them, that just like the way they interact with what they have is just so, this is a key part in what makes this manga and this show work to me. It's just like, it's just so entertaining to see how they deal with situations they get in. And it's just, I also want to like give props to the voice actors. They did an amazing job. Like they're just like their inflection, and especially like they do a lot of screaming, and it always feels very real to the moment that the characters are in and experiencing. So, and another thing I just wanted to add, the music. It's done by Kensuke Ushio. So he did, he's just amazing. Like he did Chainsaw Man, he did a Silent Voice. He's like, his discography of music is just amazing. And his range too, because like a Silent Voice is very different from Chainsaw Man, but like he manages to just like fit into the style and the story that he works for. And it's just, every time I hear his music, I'm just like, yep, I know who that is. And it just always like just elevates the story and just the anime that he's in. So
yeah. So I guess if we're gonna break this down by episode, they didn't really like cut or, you know, break between episodes. They kind of treated it as just like one continuous movie.
Almost, yeah.
So I guess, Jonah, do you know the title of the first episode? What it's like officially called?
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not too sure.
I know where it ends. The first chapter ends when Okarun tells Momo his real name, and she has that reaction and the explosion.
That was perfect.
So if you remember correctly, like she has that audible reaction and visual response, and then it kind of cuts to the valley, and it's just panning. And I think that's where the episode ended. They kind of just did that like establishing shot, and then just stopped there, and then that's when the next episode begins.
Explosion was like perfect too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right away these characters are introduced, and again, like once it started, I was already really feeling immersed in this world, and I really enjoyed, I didn't think I would, but when they go to these places, one goes to like obviously this like where ghosts are supposed to be, and the other one goes to like where this UFOs are, almost as like a challenge. I really liked how it wasn't built up too much. I was very happy like how fast the aliens kind of showed up, how fast the ghost made an appearance. I enjoyed that it wasn't kind of drawn out and like hyped up too much, and they just kind of like threw it in your face and was like, well, here it is, you know. And the ghost shows up and's like, you know, I want your weenie. And I was just like, this is already like just going for it. But I really liked that. I thought it was so funny. And then the way the aliens were as well, I was just like, wow, like this doesn't feel like a normal first episode to an anime, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I know with the first episodes of a lot of things, like they tend to just kind of slowly start and build up things, but the show just kind of really doesn't pull any punches or any filler, and it's just like, all right, it just throws you into just like the chaos of everything that's going on. And I think it works well for the show, honestly.
And before the episode, when they were having those interviews, they said a lot that like this is like a real like kind of page turner. Like once you start, it's just like you're drawn in, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the show really reflected that, because after each episode, I was just kind of like, all right, I'm excited for more.
What's
I want to
next?
see
Yeah.
more. Yeah. And, you know, some anime has done that for me. I'm not going to pretend like no other anime has done that. But this one was just, for as being as far out there as it is, and with how much information they throw at you, I was surprised how much of it was sticking with me, I would say. But yeah, that first episode when they go to where the aliens are, oh my God, I thought it was hilarious. Also, they were kind of like creepy too. I was like,
Very,
it kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
I love their design too.
Yeah,
Also, like the
it wasn't
character
like
designs in the show are awesome, especially the alien and ghosts.
It wasn't like a traditional kind of, I was like, you know, the green man alien with big
Yeah.
eyes and stuff. I guess when you were reading the manga, was that what grabbed you right away, or was it the character dynamic?
I think first it was the character dynamic. Like it just immediately jumps you in with Momo, and you're just like, okay, what's going on? And then it immediately throws you to the interaction with Okurun, and then they go straight to the tunnel and the hospital respectively. And then after that, it just hits you. Like the art style completely changes from when they were at school to when they both go to these like known haunted places. Like the lines just become a lot harsher and grittier, and there's just a lot more black in each panel. If I remember correctly, like a lot of the panels were kind of just left white and black, or just white and blank in the background, and then just like the shift completely changes. Like it's completely dark black, and it's just like the whole tone shifts. So like right after that, it's just like they said, it's just a page turner. Like you keep seeing what's going on, and you're just like, oh my goodness. And it just gets to a point where you're just like already finished with like the first 4 chapters, and you're just continuing, and it just further accelerates from there. So I think that huge change in just like art style and tone was really, really powerful. And they managed to do a really good job with that in the show itself. It just like really drives that like, oh my God, everything's just like changed. It's like everything has just been playful, but now like all this is real and like just really, really, really powerful.
Do you agree with what we're saying as far as like first episodes go for other anime? Because you're someone who watches anime probably a lot more than me. That's pretty much a fact. So I guess, do you kind of see what we're saying, or is it?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Yukinobu is just like so genius in knowing that like the first episode of the first chapter counts. So just really, you need to just like kind of drive a lot of stuff in, and just really that first interaction between characters needs to be crucial, because if they're not interested by the beginning, how are you going to get them interested later on? How are you going to keep their attention? And so I think like even in historical cinema, like when cinema was first happening, the first movies that were being created were just literally made to just want you to watch what's going on. Like one of the first movies is just like a train scene, and people, all they were going off of that was just, I'm interested in seeing what's happening and how this is put on a camera and put into a screen. So I think he kind of just grabs that immediate interest rather than more complex themes and characters and development to get you interested in that. He rather does it in a different way, making you go, oh man, like it just makes you ask questions like, oh, what's going on? Why does she like this Ken character? Why does she do this? And then it just keeps making you ask questions, and it just gets to a point where you're just so interested, and it just keeps feeding you. And I think, yeah, he does an amazing job with just really just getting you interested right off the bat. I completely agree. It's like such a different experience.
Yeah. The first episode had quite a few shots that impressed me. Obviously, one is when Okurun's running down the tunnel, and it goes to the POV of the granny, and it's like the hands, and it goes like all the way around, like in front of him. Like, I don't know, that was such like a cool shot. Also the other one when he possesses Okurun, and the granny like comes out of like the phone, and the way the hands come out and then it crawls out, I was just like, that is cool. Like that looks awesome. but it also really kind of freaked me out. I was like, that's kind of scary. But yeah, there was a lot of shots and everything in this anime that just really impressed me. Which, granted, I don't watch that much anime, so obviously I'd consider myself kind of just like an average anime watcher. But that was one of my big takeaways, was how many of the shots kind of surprised me. I don't know if you guys felt the same.
Yeah, there was definitely a bunch that impressed me, especially like all the ones on like the alien ship, especially with how he was like using like blues and greens and everything. It looked really beautiful. And then especially like in the second episode when they're fighting this like sumo wrestler monster thing, I really loved like just like the black and white that it would use to like compare and contrast like the world versus like the kind of afterlife or something that it was in. I thought that was like really, really awesome. And it really stood out to me for sure.
For me, the ending of the first episode, now that you mention it, Jonah, was very, very much like grabbed my attention. I guess I'd put it up there with kind of like Spy X Family. The end of that first episode was like, you have these two characters and they're basically like getting married. Just like totally out there. This episode, I would say, had that same effect. Momo has like, who does she admire? It's like some pop star or something.
Yeah, his name is Ken Takakura. He's just kind of like, almost like this like nice delinquent type dude. He's like, the way I perceive it, it doesn't really get explained, is he's just this dude who kind of fights people for good, almost like a superhero type way, but just still being like on a human level and just doing things for good rather than personal gain or any other way, which I think the humor is just, for me at least, it works so well. Like it's just very like in your face, go a different direction than you could ever expect, and just like completely different than, it just subverts most genres. Like I think, like for example, in episode 2 when Momo's like trying to control Okurun's like soul, and you're like, oh, this is just going to be the normal case of where she just immediately gets a feel for it and she's kind of developing, and it just like completely surprises you. The grandma just goes, okay, and you're like, okay, you think she's done it, and then it just completely cuts to just Okurun being completely taken and controlled by the curse, and it's just, it really is just U-turn, left turn, unexpected.
180.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that ending of that first episode, that Okurun, like that's his real name. Like to me, that was hilarious. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. So I don't know. I think it was played for the humor of it as well, but also how she kind of sees this figure in her life at that age is just like, it's like sacred, you know, like you can't mention him. You can't talk about him. Like, stop. I don't know. That was just like a perfect, like kind of 180 I was not expecting. But then, going into the second episode, they go back to Momo's house. I swear, I think probably the funniest part for me was when he steps into the border and he like lights on fire.
He goes to the water. She just throws him over there.
I don't know why. Like just the way it was edited and everything. Like I thought it was so funny. And it's like, of course, the grandma had like some protective like spell on the house. But that whole humor was so funny, and how he's like terrified to go back in, you know.
The sound effects and the music add so much to that scene also.
Yeah, especially Momo's just like straight mouth open, gazing face of her just going safe when he makes it through the barrier. It's just like, it's so random. But it's so great.
And after his hair is like some granny perm or something.
Those jokes too of just the hair changing is really funny too, and they just keep joking about that.
It shows the characters change too also, which I loved about that, just like with his hair and everything.
And I like the fact that they're not built up to like a big degree like I mentioned, but some of these side characters do have that kind of like, they put out like just a little bit of information about who they are, and you're kind of wondering in your mind, like, well, at least I was like, how is it, I wonder how they look like, you know, like when they mentioned the grandma. I was like, her reveal, I was like not expecting that. I was like, what the hell? And it was kind of built up to a degree. Like they show her on the show, then they show her in the cab and everything. And it's just like, it's not overly built up, but you are like anticipating that reveal. And then when it happens, it's totally left of field of something you were expecting in your head, you know? And even with the monsters too, like in the second episode, the sumo wrestler, when you see that shadow like at the door and you hear like that second doorbell ringing, I was like freaky, you know? So yeah, I just like that whole build up and the reveals and the way they were treated and everything. It wasn't overly drawn out in any way, but when it did happen, it was very left of field for me.
Yeah, no, it was a really awesome reveal. And I loved that she's like on this reality show about like fortune telling or something. And she gives like the like celebrity, like these random just things about him that he's like 27 or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really funny.
And then it turned out to be right.
Yeah, it completely like changes your outlook on her because like he just keeps saying no, and you're like, wow, this person is so far off. And then like she appears at her house, and her whole just like your whole outlook on her changes. Like she just completely just grabs your attention. She just like traps the Turbo Granny in a circle, and she's like kind of like just talking to her, just kind of like outsmarting her, outwitting her, while literally talking about what she's doing, just like almost just adding it like just salt into the wound, just being like, this is what I did, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So, and then just like, then finally getting that moment where she's watching TV and he announces that everything that she predicted was right. It's just like, just so funny. And again, just so out of just left field, just so unexpected. I think that character introduction is so very, very different, very vibrant, very random, very interesting. I've never seen a character be introduced that way, but I just absolutely love how all that played out.
Yeah.
She still fits into like the world and atmosphere and everything.
And one thing I wanted to mention, breaking down kind of each episode, obviously Jonah had already mentioned it, but the fact that they take each kind of, you know, ghost, demon, alien, and give it its own unique kind of color and look and everything was something that I didn't notice at first, but as it goes on, I had to remind myself, like in that second episode, I was like, oh, this is all in black and white.
Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't occur to me at first, maybe because I thought it was like dark or something. But then I had to like realize, I was like, oh, this is like in black and white. That looks really cool. Mm-hmm. And that whole character's design was something that I was just not expecting, I guess. When you hear like monster, ghost, alien, I like the look of all of them. And in the second episode too, or it might have been the third, the Turbo Granny actually is kind of like really terrifying when she takes control, and she's peeking in through that bathroom. Like that really kind of freaked me out. And you see the granny just basically like frozen. And she's like, yeah, I'm basically, you know, picking how she's going to die right now. I was like, holy shit, that's scary. And it kind of added weight to, you know, everything we're kind of seeing.
It added more drama too, also.
Yeah. And I didn't really feel like the show, it adds like stakes to everything that's going on. Obviously, you want Okarun to, you know, be rid of this demon that's infested him, you know, but I would say up until that point, it was kind of treated more for like humor and things. And then it shows the other side that, no, this is actually really kind of scary.
Yeah, it takes like a tonal shift in direction that you just don't expect at all.
Yeah.
Especially jumping back to the second episode when they're fighting the sumo person at Momo's house, and like Momo kind of like can control his aura to the point where the grandma isn't fully in control and Okarun's still in control, but he can like use the power to his ability. That whole transformation was absolutely nuts, especially like when the red just goes across his face and he has that whole transformation. And then he immediately just kind of is depressed and sad.
The humor.
So like it sets it up to be like, oh, this is kind of funny. But then later on it jumps back to like, no, this is a curse.
Yeah.
Like I've cursed you. You have literally 24 hours or you're all going to die.
It adds a lot of stakes that I was not really expecting, you know, especially in that third episode when they're kind of figuring out how everything works. You find out more about the grandma, you find out more about Momo and stuff and their whole relationship. I don't know, I really enjoyed that. And there's that scene. Obviously, it's kind of played for humor, but you kind of see that these two are so different, yet, they couldn't be more alike. They're very similar kind of people in how passionate they are about, these subjects that they have in their life. And kind of like that reveal of, you see that she kind of has those feelings, but it was done in a very humorous way. Obviously, she goes up to the little, it's like that protective shack pretty much, and she opens it and she sees him there, and she just immediately like shuts it. I don't know. It's just like there's so much stated in the way they interact that you can tell that they kind of do have a relationship, and there's something more there. But I'm just glad that the anime didn't really feel the need to ever like kind of state it, besides maybe like one or two lines.
Much more subtle. And I feel like as the show will probably go on, we'll probably get to like, it'll probably expand more on that, I assume.
And a lot is kind of said, again, like through the interactions. And that's what I appreciate. You kind of take it for what it is, and it's not up to interpretation, but you can see pretty much what they're driving at almost.
Things are still kind of like up in the air right now. And so I do like how it's just not very clear cut. You're kind of like, it almost makes you question. You're like, is something going to happen? Like, I don't know. I could see this kind of going either way, but just super interesting. And I wanted to just jump back a little bit and talk about like I feel like the pure entertainment that comes from this is just like, when at the beginning in the interview with Yukinobu, he kind of talks about how he makes chapters by saying if him and his editor are having fun, then he knows he's like making a good chapter, and he's making, he's just adding to the story. And I really feel like that kind of just is what makes this so fun, is like if the creator is having a great time with his editor making this, then it just radiates to, the readers and the viewers. And it's just, I've never heard of someone's like work process being that way, because you'll listen to a lot of people and they'll be like, I have to like just break down everything and make sure everything's good, and I work tirelessly to make sure like this is how I want it to be. But rather this creator is just like, if I find it fun, then I know I'm doing what I want to do. So I just found that really interesting.
Yeah, you can definitely tell just from watching the show. I haven't read the manga or anything, but just from watching the first 3 episodes, you can tell like the creative team and everybody involved is just having a blast recording this show and just animating the show. I feel like every frame of this show feels like there was a lot of care and heart and passion put into it. And that's, I think for me, why it kind of connects with me so much, because it's like, you can tell like they put a lot of detail and time and care into everything involved with the show, at least in these first 3 episodes.
I have no idea where this show is going to go in the future. I think that's why I'm excited to see. But hearing in those interviews in the beginning, one thing that really stuck out to me is having 2 characters and kind of treating them as like a pair, like a dynamic, rather than just kind of focusing on one character and you have your kind of sub characters. The fact that both are kind of given equal weight and stakes, and they're thrown together in these situations was for me the greatest setup backbone you could have to an anime, because it's like at this point I'm up for anything at this point, as long as these 2 are together and I see their interactions. You could literally take out supernatural aspects of this show, and if these characters both were doing something and it was in an episode, I would watch it. I think nailing that dynamic, making that such an important part, really paid off for someone like me, that at this point, like, again, I'm up for anything. Like, whatever episode comes out, I have no idea, but I love these characters and how they're interacting, that I could watch them do anything pretty much.
Yeah, not only is there like dynamic great, but just like the characters themselves are just so unique and just kind of like so fascinating, where it's like I feel like there's just so many layers and dimensions to the characters that like I feel like they play off each other super well, just like the back and forth dialogue, I think is probably easily one of my favorite parts, I would say, about like the show so far. And I think overall for me, I feel like that's kind of the heart of the show is like just their relationship and how it just blossoms almost.
Jonah, are there any other animes that do have that kind of dynamic, focusing on like two characters rather than like one or like a group? Because I don't know why this felt like the first time I kind of have seen that, I guess.
There are some that definitely do it, but not in the way that I think Dandadan does. Like, for example, something like JoJo, you don't follow one character. You're with one person, and they usually have some sort of sidekick, and then it
Yeah.
kind of moves on to them, and it shifts. Or something like Hyoka, that's more on the mysterious kind of at like genre, and that one kind of just uses each character to just like kind of delve into what is like going on, what like cases and mysteries can be solved. But Dandan does it very differently and actually just like taking two characters and their emotions and just like putting them in just the most absolutely insane experiences that like a human could ever experience, like just meeting the supernatural and going on these crazy experiences is going to bring the two characters naturally together, because it
Yeah.
is such a wild experience that like you could talk to that person just about that for a very long time, which just like I think just naturally brings the two together. And so I think it's different, but there are definitely some that have like done it in a sort of fashion like that. But I think, yeah, it's very different.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. This anime really worked for me. I'm super excited to watch more in the future. Maybe even picking up a manga at some point and reading. Yeah, great first 3 episodes. I couldn't tell you the last time I was this excited, after watching, just such a short part of an anime. It doesn't, at no point did it ever feel like a chore to have to watch or a chore to figure out. Because sometimes for me, I'll just say me personally, finding out lore and things like that is can be difficult for me sometimes. Sometimes I'm overloaded with like information and how the world works, and then I have a lot of questions. This anime, I didn't really feel like that, and I hope it sticks to that. And I hope, I don't really want to find out too much about their powers and power levels and stuff like that. Once anime kind of gets into that realm, that's where I'm kind of like, okay, like, yeah, you kind of lost me at this point. So yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know, Walid, if you had any closing thoughts.
It definitely grabbed my attention way more quicker than I thought for sure. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season and show is going to pan out. And again, I really love the characters. I think the animation is absolutely fantastic. The music and sound design is awesome and incredible. It's probably the best soundtrack I've heard in a long while, especially that opening theme, I think is like fantastic. Yeah, really love the action sequences. Really love just the villains and just the overall kind of relationship and story involved. Yeah, I definitely will be checking out the rest of this show for sure.
Yeah. This is just totally up my alley. Like if you watch this and you knew me, you would be like, oh yeah, this is definitely a Jonah thing. Especially, I mean,
Jonah
again, like
core.
comparing it to something like Not a Short Walk on Girl, Fully Cooley, Chainsaw Man. It really just has that chaotic energy that I just am so, for some reason, just attached to, and just really gets me interested. And just the attention to detail in the manga and even in the anime is just amazing. Like, one small thing for me is like, if you have like these modern characters, like fashion is kind of a thing that you can use to kind of just like show a character's personality. And they really like took the fashion from the manga and put into the anime, because the fashion that the characters wear is just, I absolutely love it. It's amazing. And I think that even the attention to detail on that is just super, super cool, just to kind of see. Like, I hope the anime shows more of just like the different outfits they wear and the different things, kind of just like adding on to what Walid said with like Okarun's hair changing. They have these different fits, and it just plays into like where the character is at the moment and where their headspace is, which is just really interesting. So yeah, just absolutely amazing. Like, I'm really, really happy to see this get adapted well. And super cool to see that you guys like it. So
Yeah.
that's super cool. I can't wait to talk to you guys about it when the anime finishes.
Now that you mention it, the outfits and everything do stand out compared to a lot of other animes. Like if it really feels like an extension of each character's kind of personality and really helps it feel a bit more authentic, especially when you have kids at that age. You know that's a form of expression. You know, so you put thought into how you want to dress. You know, you want it to be, you want to feel unique. You know. So yeah, I actually didn't even realize that until you mentioned it. I'm like, yeah, there is a lot of care put into that.
Yeah, it adds to their character overall too.
Yeah.
Also.
And especially compared to like some other animes where it's just like, oh, that's the character with blue hair. Here's the one with red hair. You know, things like that, to where it's just like
Kind of
just using
generic.
generic ways
Yeah.
to differentiate
There's
each
no
one.
like definable traits to them. It's like, oh yeah, that is the blue-haired character. Wow. And then like they put him in a classroom with everyone with black hair, and you're
Yeah.
like, man, I wonder who the main character is. Like, and these characters do. I do like that. That isn't just like their definable trait. Something that's just like natural to like their hair, their eyes, or something like that.
Yeah, I guess in closing, I will say I'm a sucker for aliens and things like that. So when I bought my ticket and I saw the poster, I was like, oh, this kind of looks cool. This looks like, you know, like I just thought of like Goonies or something, how like kids go on like those adventures and things. And obviously, again, growing up, was kind of a lot like Okrun. Like I'd read those books in class, you know, about UAPs and UFOs, and you know, it was always so interesting to me. And then the parts where like sometimes he would say UFO when he really meant to say UAP. It was just like a little level of authenticity that I really liked. I don't know, that really connected with me a lot. So yeah, I'm super excited to see all the craziness that goes on in this show. And what a way to end a third episode. Like that really kind of had me tied in, where they're dressed up in these, you know, protective garments and stuff, and they're going to back to that tunnel. I was like, wow, I'm amped up. I'm ready to see more.
I know. I was surprised it ended so quickly. I was like, wait, that's it?
Yeah.
Like that was like the fastest 3 episodes I've ever been through.
It really felt like that. So yeah, overall, I'm really excited. I guess we could wait until the end of season 1 if do like a score and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till like just the whole thing is out and then I can score it. But yeah, I would say for now I'm really loving it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm super excited to see what else this show has to offer.
Jonah, I guess in closing, what are we looking at release wise? When does things kind of start coming out, and how many episodes are we looking at?
Yeah, so the actual anime premieres October 4th. So that's a Monday. It should be coming out weekly. I think they're going to start with episode 1 and then move from there.
Damn.
It could be the whole show at once. Anime is not usually known for doing that. It is more of a weekly thing just because most of it airs on TV. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. Yeah, I just realized my whole plan is to just come on this podcast and show you guys things that aren't finished. So that's my goal, just to make you experience the pain.
That's so true, actually. And then how many episodes do we know? Is it going to be 12, 24?
So I believe it's actually, they're doing somewhere in the 20 range, which is super awesome to hear.
That's great.
I feel like a lot of anime that are 12 episodes really just miss out on just like really fleshing everything out, especially like what you said, like they do have episodes where they kind of just focus on a character, and if you only have 12 episodes, it's taking a pretty hefty chunk of the actual story itself. But it's really cool to see that they're doing around 20, I believe. So it should give a lot of time to just like advance the story and just show the progression between that, and even just add more to the roster and stuff. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what you guys feel about it. So.
And when you have 12 episodes and you do these kind of events where you show like 3 in like a movie or something, it's like kind of seeing like a third of what is
the story almost.
So yeah, I guess look out October 4th, probably going to be on all the anime streaming services. Overall, just first impressions, I'm excited. I feel like I haven't seen something like this in an anime. overall I am a little biased in terms of the subject matter and everything, but I couldn't recommend it more. I really feel like a lot of people will kind of attach to this, and at least I hope so.
Like they say, it blends a lot of genres, and it really does. Like you do get so many aspects of each genre, and it's just like, I'm gonna quote IGN here, but it's a little something for everyone. Like it really is. There is so much to just to experience and digest with this story. So
really though, it's like a rom-com, sci-fi, horror, exorcist kind of story. It's like, but it still feels very natural and everything. Like it still blends genres really well, where it doesn't feel like muddled in any way.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like anything I had heard already kind of seen, which to me is just, I love when that happens, when I feel like I'm watching something wholly unique, So I couldn't be more excited. Great 3 episodes. Jonah, does it rival any 3-episode runs you've seen in anime?
My take, no. I actually think this is like the best introduction.
Dang, okay.
In a story I've ever consumed before.
Wow.
It really is just in your face. Just like no BS whatsoever. Just throw the characters in. We want to show you exactly what we want to show you. We're going to cut out all the fat. Like it really just feels like the first 3 episodes just bring almost like the quality of like 12 episodes just all in one, because there is just so much that happens. And again, it doesn't feel forced in any sort of way. So me personally, it's just like, just so amazing. Just the intro is so strong.
Oh, and then one other thing, compared to the manga, how many these 3 episodes, how many books was it, or how many chapters?
So I believe it actually finished the first volume, and that was it. So
okay,
if I remember correctly, that it is 3 episodes, and they covered 4 chapters.
Wow,
total. So like I said, the adaptation is very, very close to the manga. Like they've added a few scenes every now and then, like in the moment when Momo and Okarun talk by the stairs about UFOs. There's like a few scenes added on, but it really just adds to the dynamic of the characters. It doesn't feel like, at least for me, it didn't feel like they were just kind of like, okay, we need to add a little bit more, and they just lazily added something to it. It feels like they really learned about the characters, maybe even talked to the creator a little bit to get a better understanding of where the characters' headspaces were at, and was just like, this is what's going on with them. This is what we're going to add to the characters. So really, I've never seen something so closely adapted like this before. It's just absolutely amazing.
Why does the creator refuse to show his face? That was something I was like, that's weird.
It has a lot to do with Japanese culture in anime.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys know a lot about this, but it is... if you think America is toxic with films and books being adapted horribly, Japanese people, some of them, not all of them, but some of them actually do send death threats to the creator. Wow. And so just having your face out there is just one thing that they can go off of, and makes it even more dangerous. So a lot of creators in the manga space don't actually show their face, I think, just for safety reasons, and also just for their own comfort.
Wow.
So just their own privacy.
Exactly.
Almost. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, when I saw it, the interviews in the beginning, I was like, wow, this is... I had no idea. Wow. So yeah, guys, check it out. Do we have anything else we want to say in closing at all? I mean...
No, I've said everything I've wanted to say. I really loved this. This really just took me on a ride that I haven't really experienced with an anime show in a long time. So this was great.
Yeah, no, it's just fantastic. I think G-Kids as a distributor, showing the first 3 episodes in theaters is super awesome. This is the first time they've ever done this with the show before. It just brings, it brings more money into the studio and the work itself, and also hopefully just maybe brings in new audiences seeing it, being like, oh, what's this? And if every anime I really like did that, I would be spending so much money. So it really is super cool to see that happen. Bring more money back into the studios and the work itself, and hopefully just brings in new people. So it's super cool to see them try that, and I hope that it actually is successful with what they were trying to do.
Yeah. All right. I guess that'll be it for this review. Check out the show, guys. It's going to be coming out here in the next month. And we'll probably cover this whole series when it's done. I mean, at least I want to.
I would love to.
Really enjoyed it. We will be having Jonah on in the future, actually. Just yesterday, we bought tickets to see Look Back. Is that right, Jonah?
It is, yeah. I'm super excited. Not to say any spoilers or anything, but let's just say there might be some connection between Dan to Dan and Look Back. So
cool.
It's actually kind of crazy that they both kind of came out at the same time. So excited to kind of talk about that a little bit further in depth when we actually go see it.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing that in a month, so we'll probably do the same and review it. Judging by that trailer, Jonah, you had sent me a couple weeks ago, and seeing it on the big screen, I was like, this looks like something
It looks
I have
beautiful.
to see.
Yeah.
They managed to get his art style so well.
Yeah.
It just really looks like they just took the manga itself and just animated it. It looks exactly the same, and the use of colors in the actual trailer itself is absolutely amazing. The music is
great.
Amazing. I keep saying this, but I'm already expected to cry. I'm gonna bring some tissues into the theater. So yeah, super excited for that. I cannot wait.
Yeah, so we'll be reviewing that one when it comes out. And we'll probably just throw up a separate review episode for it. But thank you guys for joining us. If you're on YouTube or Spotify, we would appreciate any criticism. If you wanted to leave a rating or like the video, subscribe, or share it with people you know, we would appreciate it. Yeah, I guess that's really it. We'll be closing out this review episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Always a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming
Jonah.
on.
Thank you. And the trash taste, we're coming for you. I just want you to know that.
Good day, good night, mates.
Bye.
Laters.